What's up everyone, this is Tony with JRNY Crypto. Welcome back to another video. So Bitcoin broke previous all-time highs here, looking pretty good, pretty much touching $112,000 after that huge downtrend. It's great to see that bear market hasn't started. So some people still think that this is pretty much just identical to the previous bull market, where if we look at the Bitcoin chart, it had a double peak here. Which some people are saying it's looking pretty similar, where Bitcoin had a huge correction, then touched all-time highs very briefly again, and then quickly went into a downtrend, and then obviously going into the extended bear market. So I think there's a very high chance this is not happening right now. While we could get a temporary downtrend again like we saw here, there's just too much on the horizon where we're at in the current markets. We're not going to enter the extended bear market, in my opinion, for 3 to 4 years until the next post Bitcoin halving. So what everyone really wants to know is when altcoin season is going to happen, when we're going to see altcoins break previous all-time highs. Like Ethereum is still struggling, $2,550 right now. XRP is looking pretty good compared to where it was, but still hasn't broken previous all-time high. Solana looking decent. Cardano ADA looking okay, but previous all-time high around $3, nowhere close to that. So once we enter the real altcoin season, that's when you're going to see altcoins go parabolic, go up 100% and more in a short period of time. This pretty much happens overnight when we see it happen. Even recently with just small spikes in interest, like we saw with ADA going from around 30 cents to over $1 recently. Even without a huge altcoin season, there was enough demand here, as you can see, going from 33 cents to $1.20. There was a lot of hype around that and everything, but we didn't see trend levels like we have seen previously. So this is very important to look at. We're going to talk about this a little bit and where we can expect to see the real parabolic altcoin season happening. So this is the past 5 years crypto and Bitcoin pulled up. Bitcoin is in red, crypto search trend is in blue here. So if you overlay this on a lot of altcoin charts, it will look very similar. When you see altcoins pumping, is generally when you see the retail spike as well. So that's when altcoin season really starts, is when you have the massive surge of retail interest. So right now we're getting Bitcoin breaking previous all-time highs without a lot of increase in retail interest here, because institutions are buying massive amounts, and there's just stuff happening on the back end where these elites in Wall Street are accumulating massive amounts. So we're getting a supply shock for Bitcoin, whereas for altcoins, we don't have institutions and Wall Street buying as many of those up. They are buying Ethereum, but things like ADA, Solana and stuff like that, some of them are, but not nearly as much as they're accumulating Bitcoin and Ethereum. When we do get a huge spike in retail interest, and the bull market has been going for a little bit, I do think institutions are going to start flipping into altcoins as well, which is a reason why we can see one of the biggest altcoin seasons we've ever seen when it actually does happen and starts playing out that way. So you can see here the trend level for the crypto search barely has a tiny bump here. We do have a slight increase for the Bitcoin search, going from around 20 to 23. But if you look here, where it peaked in November, this is when Bitcoin surged, everything happening with Trump coming into office and everything. So that surged retail interest. Even on crypto, it went up a lot. So crypto does follow, but you can see it lags a little bit. So Bitcoin just breaking previous all-time highs is a good indicator, because when Bitcoin breaks previous all-time highs, even if you don't have the retail interest right now, it does start getting through the ecosystem and everything. People start talking about it, telling their friends, as long as there is an immediate dump. If we do have a steady rise here, so we see Bitcoin breaking previous all-time highs again and again, not by much, but it's steadily climbing, that's when retail interest really starts getting confidence in spreading the word. They start telling all their friends and everything. And that's really when you start seeing altcoin season starting to pick up. And at some point, once all their friends get in, they're telling all of their friends, and then you just get an explosion of demand, especially if it lines up with other big things happening. Like if we get the the Bitcoin strategic reserve, if banks start offering crypto services, anything big happening on top of just general interest picking up and a slow uptrend is going to be really good for the space. So you can see previously here, this was the 2021 bull market back here. You can see the Bitcoin in red, massive spikes of retail interest, but crypto in blue does lag behind Bitcoin trend level. But the longer Bitcoin is up, the better it is for crypto search and altcoins as well. And then if you see this peak here for the crypto search mid-May, that's when we had that huge altcoin season right here. So the trend level at that time for crypto was around 35 to 40. Right now it's at 10. So that's just a comparison of where we're at compared to the 2021 altcoin season. It picked up again later here towards the end of year when Bitcoin broke that all-time high again, but the bear market started shortly after that. So we have Bitcoin right now breaking at previous all-time highs without a huge surge and increase of retail interest. Pretty interesting since we haven't really seen stuff like that before. So say that we did have a spike in retail interest for Bitcoin like we saw back here in November. The price right now of Bitcoin would be much higher. I would say it'd be testing $150,000 if it didn't break it. So that's the thing with these institutions continuing to accumulate. And then we also had the Bitcoin halving, so there's less Bitcoin coming into circulation on a daily basis. All of this stuff works towards a supply shock. So institutions, Michael Saylor's strategy company, acquiring more and more Bitcoin, single entities just continuing to buy and take Bitcoin out of circulation. Meanwhile, retail interest is also doing this, and then other whales and companies, countries, all this different stuff continuing to just accumulate Bitcoin. If there's not enough selling pressure to counter that, eventually you get a supply shock, which is kind of what's happening right now. You can see without much of a retail interest spiking, and this retail interest going up is mostly from word of Bitcoin breaking previous all-time highs. This should continue steadily rising, but it would take something big happening again to get a spike like we saw back here in November, like an actual approval and actually hearing how much the US government is planning to buy for Bitcoin. If there's some actual plan that goes into effect and we actually know they're going to be buying, even if it's a few $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, this is going to cause a lot of US states to follow, a lot of different countries, a lot of institutions. It's just going to create a massive wave of FOMO, regardless of who's buying. And then that'll also help spike retail interest. So that's when you get the massive supply shock. We need another major event like this happening, whether that's for Bitcoin or an altcoin or something. We need a huge spike of retail interest, basically. But regardless, right now, all of these whales and institutions continuing to accumulate is a great thing, because that does work towards that supply shock. The less Bitcoin there is available in circulation when the supply shock and that surge of retail and this major event does happen, the higher the price of Bitcoin is going to go. So I found this chart on X from TechDev, and I think it's a good indicator of where we're currently at and shows there's still a lot of upside in this current cycle. The most important chart in crypto, Bitcoin tops when green tops. We're still in red at the explosion point. So basically he's just saying right now we're at the explosion point. This is where things start picking up. Maybe it's just for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but that's generally what picks up and creates the altcoin season, is a massive explosion of demand and supply shock for the top two cryptos. So you can see here, every little green arrow here is generally where things start picking up, and that's generally when you're still in the red here. And then when green tops, that's when you want to be looking out. That's when you want to start dollar cost averaging out and taking profit, is when you're high up in the green sections here, because that's when you're heading towards the peak of each cycle. Trying to time that exact top is very difficult, but if you're buying through the red, and just spreading it out and selling through the green here, you're generally doing pretty good. So another chart here from TechDev showing where we're currently at for altcoin season. You can see it says 4 years of compression here from the peak of the last cycle to where we're currently at. He states, I don't think many comprehend what's coming in the altcoin market. So we don't have an exact date and time when altcoin season is going to start exploding, but we could get a general idea and then you can start preparing from that. It's a good time to work out your dollar cost average strategy, entry and exit strategy, what coins you want to be dollar cost averaging and all that. And just start preparing for an actual altcoin season, because all indicators are pointing towards that actually happening sometime this year. Could happen in the next couple months, could happen in fall or in the last couple months of the year, but regardless, it's looking like we are going to get one of these altcoin seasons we've seen previously here where retail interest explodes. So as we know, BlackRock is now big on cryptocurrency, mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum. They have some altcoins, but they're continuing to acquire large amounts, and that's definitely a good indicator. This helps push towards the supply shock we talked about. So just in the last 24 hours, they've acquired an additional $430.8 million worth of Bitcoin and $52.8 million worth of Ethereum. So nearly 10x the amount in Bitcoin. So that's generally how it's going to go. Like I mentioned previously, they'll likely start flipping into altcoins like XRP, Solana, Cardano, Dogecoin even, after they've had the huge surge in Bitcoin. Say Bitcoin's around $200,000. We start getting ETF approvals for Cardano, Solana, and these other top 10 altcoins. That's when we're going to start seeing institutions flip into those, start buying massive amounts of those as well, with retail interest spiking, and then you have a sudden surge of institutional demand. That's where I think we're going to see one of the craziest altcoin seasons we've ever seen if something like that plays out. So I think this image is important to look at. This is the Wall Street cheat sheet. I keep seeing this going around on X, whether it's scenario A or scenario B. There's both sides here, a lot of bullish people and a lot of bearish people. Once you get a lot of the bearish people flipping to bullish, that's when you get a lot of confidence in the markets, and that's when you get a lot of retail interest picking up, because so many people are so confident that they're telling everyone. So A here has the Bitcoin chart overlaid, basically stating we're right before the parabolic move in the market cycle. And B here is basically just showing that with the market dip, we're going into the extended bear markets. So in my opinion, I think there's a much higher chance we're currently in A than in B, where we're headed into the extended bear market. There's just too many massive things on the board that could play out at any time. There's just too many things happening. There's all these different ETFs in consideration. All of this bullish stuff is really just starting to happen. And where we're currently at in the cycle, post Bitcoin halving, we're not lined up yet with where the peak of the cycle generally is either. So in my opinion, A is definitely much more likely, where we're headed into the phase of the current market cycle where things start going parabolic. Likely to happen for Bitcoin and Ethereum first, of course, and then altcoins to follow. And then at some point you get that huge surge where altcoins are not only following, they're going off on their own. You're going to see some altcoins surging over 100% in a single day. In a short period of time, some will go up 300% and more, especially for some of the really small market cap altcoins. That's where you start seeing some of those going up over 10x, even 50x, even 100x. Those are the type of small cap coins I'm always looking for, is those small cap hidden gems that have the potential to do a 100x. Because say you put $1,000 into 10 different small cap altcoins like that are well researched, and you really believe they all have strong potential, but only one of them makes it and does that 100x. You initially put in $10,000, but because that one did a 100x, that's $100,000. So you're still $90,000 in profit if you sold it all there. So what's interesting is we haven't had the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve pass yet and go into an effect, but we are starting to see a lot of US states considering it and introducing their own Bitcoin reserve. Just recently, Texas advanced its bill to establish state-managed Bitcoin reserve. I believe Arizona just did this, and a few other states. Once a federal US Bitcoin reserve actually goes into effect, a lot more states are going to follow as well. Not only that, but a lot more countries. and a lot of institutions and companies are going to start buying as well. There's just going to be a surge of FOMO. I think a lot of people don't believe it's ever going to happen still, or it's just going to take way too long to actually figure it out and pass and go into effect. But regardless, seeing states take interest like this is good. More entities that buy Bitcoin on a regular basis, the better. JP Morgan finally changing their stance as well. JP Morgan, the CEO, Jamie Dimon, he previously had a very negative stance on Bitcoin, just like Warren Buffett. He kind of still does, but I feel like he's starting to feel pressure to start offering this soon. If all the banks start offering custody and different crypto services, they're making money on the fees. It's going to be a rush and a race for which bank is going to be the main one. And of course, there's billions of dollars in fees to be made. So they will flip with everyone else when the time comes around. But for right now, they don't want everyone super interested in crypto, probably because they want to accumulate more as well. So while this isn't huge, it's not going to create a huge surge of FOMO. It is a important and positive first step towards that happening. That's when I think we're really going to see a crazy surge. I think it's really important too that retail does have the option to custody their crypto through banks and different things, because self-custody is extremely risky. There's all kinds of different things. People don't want to manage their own crypto that aren't tech savvy, especially when you're hearing about scams and hacks every couple weeks. And this starts happening more and more as you're getting into the bull market, because it starts becoming worth more and there's a lot more interest from hackers. People don't want to self-custody as much as a lot of people think. So if banks were offering custody services for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you were able to transact and trade between them directly through your bank fairly easily, I think a lot of people would just do that, and that would really help onboard millions of people into the space, and that would really help create a surge of retail interest like we've never seen before as well. And then we also have tokenization happening here. This is something big for Ethereum, and I'm speculating that Warren Buffett, his company Berkshire Hathaway, they're going to be getting big into crypto at some point in the next year. Warren Buffett just announced he's retiring end of year, which is pretty interesting. And something else interesting is that Berkshire Hathaway, BlackRock actually is one of the biggest owners and shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company. So if BlackRock has massive interest in crypto doing well and they own a huge chunk of Berkshire Hathaway, they're probably pushing Berkshire Hathaway to get on board as well. Not only that, but there's just a ton of money to be made in that. Berkshire is sitting on over $300 billion of cash, the most in history for cash reserves like that. So them just diversifying and putting $5 or $10 billion into Bitcoin and Ethereum, that would be nothing to them. And that would be a massive indicator to a lot of the older generation to buy crypto as well. They could be waiting though for banks to be offering custody services and more ETFs to be approved before they give the green light on something like that. Just because a lot of the people that are invested in following people like Warren Buffett, the older generation, they don't want to self-custody, like I said. So it would be a lot more effective if they started supporting when these things were in effect and these products and services were available to the public. So besides that, there is some very bullish stuff happening for Cardano, and 680 million in ADA leaving exchanges recently. This could contribute to a supply shock for ADA. Like I said, with altcoin season picking up, ADA is probably going to be one of the biggest gainers in the top 10 just because it's underperforming compared to other top 10 altcoins. But if they have huge updates and things lining up with the bull market in the altcoin season, then you get a much bigger surge like we've seen previously with ADA. Tends to always do this. Pretty much just stays flat for the bear market, and then you get massive surges when altcoin season starts happening. We've seen this previously. 2021 here went from bear market price of around 10 to 15 cents to peaking around $3, and then recently bottoming out around 30 to 40 cents, peaked here at $1.20 recently. If we get a surge of retail interest in altcoin season like we saw in 2021, lining up with some of these huge updates for Cardano, I really think we're going to be passing a $5 ADA. $5 to $10 is definitely possible in this bull market, as long as there's nothing that kills the bull market and it doesn't drop off suddenly. I definitely think ADA is going to have its time and have a massive surge. So that's pretty much it for this video. Just going over where I think things are currently at with altcoin season. Definitely a good time to prepare though. Work out your entry and exit strategy, figure out what you want to do, but this is the time, in my opinion. If you weren't dollar cost averaging through the bear markets, which is really the best time to be doing that, then the next best time is right before the bull market picks up. You don't want to start buying when there's peak FOMO and buying things at much higher prices. You don't want to be buying ADA at $3 or $2. You want to be buying it right now at 75 cents if altcoin season is coming. Of course, anything bad could happen in the short term. No one can predict the future, but we can look at these different indicators, different things playing out, and make general analysis and assumptions based on that. So in my opinion, much higher percent chance that we see the bull market happening and altcoin season picking up than going into a bear market for the next 3 years. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing more videos soon. We just launched a couple products. We actually have a crypto trading bot for Solana launching probably in the next week here. So you guys could join us and trade with us if you want. It's a Telegram bot. We're going to be adding support for Cardano and Ethereum after that, and then different features for the bots, like sniping, copy trading, different cool stuff like that. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.